Is the beverage package, non-alcoholic package, worth it? Um, I mean, it can be with all the drink packages. It can be if you drink enough. I mean, one of my good friends, Elizabeth, who loves soda, she could easily get her money's worth out of that. And it includes other things, not just soda, but any non-alcoholic beverage. So coffees and teas and bottled waters and juices. So it's really, Fernando, when it comes to a beverage package, it really comes down to the person who is buying the package. If you can drink enough to make it worthwhile, it can be. Have I gotten my money's worth out of my drink package when I've got them? Absolutely. But I certainly make an effort to make sure that I do. You recommend going on Mexico cruise after all that's been going on? Sure. I mean, first of all, you have to remember number one, that some of the violence issues that Mexico has been having lately has been relegated to Ensenada. So if your cruise is going anywhere but Ensenada, I don't think it's as much of an issue. Number two, certainly I think it's always a good idea to be vigilant. Number three, just because there's an issue in a country doesn't mean that it's going to be an issue you're going to encounter. And along those lines, typically you don't see these kind of issues affecting tourist areas. The cartels are not anything to be messed with. They're not. I don't want to make any light of them by any means, but their gripe is with the Mexican government, not the tourists. They're not targeting tourists. They're not targeting tourist areas. If that changes, then my advice here will change. But as of right now, it seems to be, based on what I've seen, primarily relegated to the northwest part of Mexico. So again, it depends on if your itinerary, and of course, Miguel, if you're going on a cruise that is going to Ensenada, if you want to stay on board the ship, I certainly don't think anyone would blame you. Is it true that Royal Caribbean has been dropping COVID test requirements for cruises shorter than 9 nights? Indeed, yes. Posted it at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. So earlier today, Royal Caribbean announced that cruises less than 9 nights or less, if you're fully vaccinated, no COVID test required. People that are unvaccinated are allowed on board the cruises. There will be testing requirements for those folks, but it's a pretty clear and easy protocol. Remember last week, there were a lot of people who were, I don't want to say upset, but they were questioning why Royal Caribbean isn't being more open like maybe some other cruise lines. And here you go. A week later, they made the change there. So good to see that. And a lot of people very, very excited for that news. What are the benefits, if any, of going on a President's Cruise out of Galveston? Primarily, there's a couple of, I would say, almost intangible benefits. Certainly, there is a tangible benefit. Usually, in the President's Cruise, there's a lot of free swag, flags and hats and shirts and whatnot. There's special events available. But primarily, Mark, the reason why you want to be on the President's Cruise is because you're a big Royal Caribbean fan. It would mean a lot to you to cruise with Royal Caribbean CEO and be on a ship where there's a lot of staff who are really, and I say staff, I mean executives on board, who are who are there to make it even more special. So that's really the appeal of it more than anything. I'm doing a back-to-back on Alert for a total of 14 days. We'll have to test. No, Debbie, Royal Caribbean, if you're doing a back-to-back and you're vaccinated, of course, Debbie, then no. The fact you're doing a back-to-back does not mean anything. I know we think it does. Well, man, I'm doing 14 nights. Yeah, but according to the rest of the world, you're just doing 2 cruises in a row that are 7 nights. So the fact it's 14 doesn't matter. And Royal Caribbean dropped back-to-back COVID testing a couple months ago, actually. So, no, you're good to go on that one. How does the muster drill work now? App and then report inside of the station? Yeah, pretty much. You do everything in the app, and then after the last step is report to your station. It's like, hey, I did my muster drill on the app. Here I am. I know where it is. They'll let you know this is where you come in case of emergency. Scan your CPAS, and that's it. Is it fair to expect Wonder in Alaska in the future with this enclosed solarium? I mean, never say never, Carrie. I remember there was a time in which people thought a Voyager-class ship in Alaska was crazy. So you never know on that one. I don't know that it's fair to expect it, but I certainly wouldn't rule it out. You never know on that. If you have a Genie, is there a laundry service? There is. But when you're staying in a star classroom, Danny, laundry is included. So you just have to take the effort to do it. The only problem, so when you stay in star class, you get free laundry, right? Which is cool. But you can't just this isn't like dropping your laundry off at mom's house when you were in college. You still have to fill out a form every single time. It's saying, all right, I've got 3 shirts, 2 boxers, a pair of pants. You still have to item, which was honestly more of an issue for me than anything else. I mean, I'm lazy if you haven't figured it out. So as long as you're okay with that, yeah. In fact, a lot of people, I know my very good friend Ashley would actually do it every day and come back from the cruise ship with clean laundry because, hey, it's part of the cruise cost right there. Is it worth it getting the Royal Caribbean Visa card? So this is a good question. I generally, in the grand scheme of travel credit cards, I don't think it's worth it. There are far better, more lucrative credit cards. What I mean by that is there are definitely other credit cards, travel credit cards out there that will get you more points per dollar spent. But No other credit card will give you any kind of benefits specifically for Royal Caribbean like the Royal Caribbean Visa card can. If your goal is to get a free Royal Caribbean cruise, Royal Caribbean onboard credit, there is no other option. So then, yes, it is worth it. But if your goal is to maximize your dollars spent for travel points, then I would say there's a better credit cards that are out there besides that one. We have a Junior Suite on Wonder, and we're thinking about doing Royal Up to get a Grand Suite to take advantage of the suite perks. What do you think about the Royal Up to get a Grand Suite? I think that you're rolling the dice, Jade. Meaning, if you're saying, Matt, we really want to go to a Grand Suite, then call your travel agent and have them upgrade you the old-fashioned way. But if you're saying, Matt, I'm in a Junior Suite, I like my Junior Suite, but I wouldn't mind moving up to a Grand Suite, then yeah, make a bid for it. You never know. But you have to understand, just because there's a Royal Up opportunity doesn't mean there's actually a room to upgrade to. Never mind the fact that you're doing a blind bidding, so you have no idea if someone else is bidding way more than you. So things to keep in mind, certainly. If you test negative with a home kit, you need to bring the test of the cruise. Don't bring. I think some people actually think this. Don't actually bring the sample with you. You don't need to bring that. What you want, most home tests have QR codes. You scan them, you register in an app, and then you have a printout, just like anything else. So don't bring the sample with you. That's weird and gross. Bring the printout that you do, but that's exactly what you would do. You bring the printout or the on your phone, and that would be fine there. Does Royal Caribbean have a haven like Norwegian? No, Royal Caribbean doesn't really have a ship within a ship concept like the Haven. On some of their newer ships, like Wonder of the Seas, they do have a more elaborate and expanded suite area, but it's not quite the same thing. The closest thing that Royal Caribbean has to the Haven would be on Spectrum of the Seas. If you cruise out of Asia, they have a whole different approach to suites over there, and they have something very close to it, but it's still not quite the same thing. So the answer is no. Is it smarter to cruise out of the Northeast for longer cruises or fly to Florida for shorter cruises? Airfare is so much money. I'm not sure one is smarter than the other. You pretty much nail the pros and cons. If you live in the Northeast and you could drive to your cruise, like in New Jersey, well, you're saving money on airfare. You don't have to fly. That's just convenience alone is worthwhile. But obviously, your cruise out of New Jersey out of the Northeast can take longer to get down to Florida or wherever. And your itinerary choices are limited, right? But the nice thing about flying to Florida is you're much closer to the destinations. You have a much more variety of ships to choose from, better pricing on cruises. So, airfare might be expensive, but you might pay more for the cruise fare compared to the cruise fare out of Florida. It's a game to play, Jessica. It's just, there's pros and cons to both. I don't know that it's smarter, but certainly a lot of people in the Northeast do cruise out of the Northeast because of the reasons you mentioned. What would you suggest to do on Allure with kids this is not amplified? Things we did on ships before they're amplified anyway. They have a great H2O zone on the pool deck. You've got the tiny small wonders on board to go explore. Great shows on board. The whole boardwalk is there. There's still plenty to do. You shouldn't look at it like you're going on Majesty of the Seas by any means. It's still a very fun ship especially for kids as well. So you'll have a great time there. Where should I stay in Fort Lauderdale before my cruise in October on Allure? I'm trying out a new hotel, Gabe, in September. I'm going to try out the new Marriott Airport Hotel. They invited me to go check it out. So I'll have a review of it when we're on there. But I generally recommend if you don't care about being near the port and want a really fun hotel that's near a lot of things to do, you can walk to. I would recommend the Hyatt Centric Las Olas Boulevard. It's a great location, great hotel, brand new hotel. I've stayed there a couple times. Has anyone got a Labadee? I have. Would you recommend? I would indeed. Actually, I'm going to give a big shout out to Kevin and the team. If you want something fun and different to do in Labadee, they have a sip and paint excursions. Book the Royal Caribbean. Basically, it's for adults and kids, so don't feel like this is a kiddie thing. But they give you alcohol and you get to paint things, which is pretty cool. It's kind of a neat thing to do. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's gonna be so hot. Why do I want to sit there and paint? Actually, it's in a really breezy area. It was very, very comfortable. We were there in July, so recommend that quite a bit. If a certain category of stateroom is sold out, but we have a guarantee for that category, is there a possibility of being kicked up a category? Possibility? Yes. Likely? No. But yes. The answer is when you get a guaranteed stateroom of any kind, balcony, inside, it is a guarantee of that or higher. So you could be upgraded, yes. But I don't want to, Nathan, trust me when I tell you that I don't want to get your hopes up on this one, so I wouldn't even go that far. Is Harmony and Symphony basically the same ship? So, Pierre, it's a good question. They're the same class of ships. They're both Oasis class, but there are a fair amount of differences on board, namely the dining and entertainment. Each ship has a restaurant or restaurants. The other one does not. as well as the artwork on board is slightly different, and the shows are different. But they're more similar than they're not, Pierre. But they are different. They're not a carbon copy of each other. So what is a good day pass for Nassau? Margaritaville has one. I know that one of our writers, Allie, went to the Warwick Hotel and liked it quite a bit. So we have reviews of them, Kelly, at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. The Margaritaville Day Pass, the Warwick Day Pass. They're very nice. Will Royal Caribbean bring bigger ships to LA or San Diego? The answer is truly based on, honestly, you West Coasters, if there's enough demand for it. The answer is if they were selling those West Coast cruises so darn well and prices are going higher, then the answer is yes. But I think based on what I've heard and seen, it seems like the demand has not been quite as strong as maybe some other markets that are out there. I think the thing that's helping you out a lot, EB, is number one, China is shut down. So I know that it looks like it might reopen, but the number one reason Royal Caribbean stopped sailing out of the West Coast for a long time was at first it was violence in Mexico, but really it was because they were bringing more ships to Australia and to China. And as of right now, that's a little less of an issue. I certainly hope that there are more ships going out of the West Coast, but it's all based on demand. And when Navigators started cruising out of LA, demand was definitely soft. It was not, they didn't sell nearly as well as I think they had hoped for. I think it's gotten better since then. I don't have any data, obviously, to back this up. This is all through Royal Caribbean. But reading the tea leaves, that's my opinion on that. So if enough people booked it, certainly yes. Until then, have a great week, everybody. Stay safe out there. Do something fun. And we'll talk again very soon right here on YouTube. Good night, everybody.